Hello and welcome to another video. So I wanted to do this video because I've done a few videos now about customer service and using your initiative, but I also want to talk about taking care of yourself when working. And what I mean by that is, if you're not getting something out of that job, then it means that you need to move on, and you need to then sit down and work out what would be the ideal scenario if things could change, and what it would feel like and what it would be like. And I've just watched a video with Oprah Winfrey talking about, every good decision she's made has come from the gut. And when it comes to working, you should have the same feelings, because if there's something, if it doesn't feel quite right, it means that you're in the wrong place. And so, when it comes to employment, take good care of yourself. When they interview you, you also interview them, so you can find out what type of people they are. What type of environment is it going to be? Is it the right choice to join that company? Do I want the job just because it brings an income, or do I want the job because it's my ideal, that's what you've always wanted to do, and now you're getting the opportunity of doing it? So basically, it's about listening to your gut instinct that tells you whether you are in a good place or you aren't in a good place. I worked for a company when I lived in South Coast, where I became a victim of bullying in the workplace. They were very rude to me, very abrupt. They even said there was a lot of work involved, and to be good with customers, make sure their orders are put through, and check their bank details, etc. But I found that because there was so much to do, and because I like to take my time, it wasn't being perceived very well, and they would literally jump on me as soon as I walked through the door. And I knew that I'd made at the time it seemed like a good job, but in the end I realised that it wasn't the job for me as such, because of the people that I was working with, and that can make a huge difference. Now, when it comes to choosing a career, you do need to find out what it's like first. This is where you need to take good care of yourself. Get used to the environment. If it's not for you, then you haven't failed. You just needed to find out. And that is where taking good care of yourself comes into play. When it comes to employment, always put yourself on the front line to work out whether they are good employers or they're going to be bad employers. Do you need to take the first job that comes your way? Not necessarily. But it's good to still go to the interview, just so you can get practice in that scenario, and keep a log of the interviews you've had. That can then help you towards the next interview, which could be the one. You may have to have about, no exaggeration, about 10 interviews before you find the one that fits. So, make sure, I know lots of employers now don't really go on CVs, but if they ask for a CV, always provide it, and make sure that you adapt it to the role that you're applying for. So basically, the method is, a lot of people do it backwards. Find the job, do your CV, write the covering letter, send it off, and then wait. And then if they haven't called you, then take the initiative to call them and find out why have you been shortlisted. And if they say no, I'm really sorry, but you've not been successful this time, fine. But you've taken it upon yourself to find out if that job is yours. If it's not, don't feel disappointed, because it's probably not the one for you anyway. and then that will see you into the job that you really want to do. After becoming a steward at Fulham Football Club, I became an office junior for a very small company in Camden. And at the time, it was suited for me because it meant that, I had a routine, I was doing different things. But then I found that because I was an office junior at my age, that I was kind of like treated as like a housekeeper rather than an employee. But that's because, when I was interviewed, I wasn't interviewed by the manager of the company, but by the office manager of the company, and by one of the guys that dealt with the marketing side of the company, and I was there basically to assist. And I did feel valued in such, because the girl that I was working with was very supportive. I did make mistakes in the company, but I didn't let it drag me down. I learnt from it, and in the end I found that I wanted someone that was nearer to me, so I didn't have to pay so much on travel. And that's the other thing you need to think about. Take care of yourself in terms of employment. If it's going to cost you more to travel to that company, and it's going to damage your finances, then perhaps it's not the right job for you. It is sometimes tough to find a job on your doorstep, but if you find the job that's near to you and you find that it's more suited to you, then don't be disheartened. Just say, if you do get an interview from other companies, say, well, okay, I will come to the interview, find out what time, and still go to the interview just to find out. And if you get offered the ideal job that's nearer to you, then go to that interview, because sometimes, even if it's near to you, it can still not be the job for you. But the only way you're going to find that out is by applying, and by making yourself be a strong candidate to be given an interview. Now, if you don't even, when I first left school, and I stayed on to the sixth form, and then I decided that I had enough of education. I was ready to go out there and work. And as I've talked before, the first job I actually had was working at Fulham Football Club as a steward, and that really did help me. I wasn't getting paid loads. It was like you got like a tenner for it, and then if you visited the pitch, you got an extra tenner out of it. And then I did some work experience as a groundsman, and I absolutely enjoyed that. I wasn't really getting paid much. I was getting paid for my travel expenses, but really I was doing it for nothing. But I didn't mind, because it gave me experience on what it's like to work within a football club, because that was my ambition at the time when I left school, and I'm glad I did that. But then I found the office junior job in Camden, and because I did get influenced by the money at the time, I found that I couldn't do both, because I was also going to dancing school on a Saturday, but I had to give that up because of stewarding. And in the end, because I was working full time as an office junior, then I had to decide whether I wanted to stay being a steward or quit the job. And so I decided to do the latter. I decided that I did want to continue on stewarding. At the time, I needed a job that was full time, and that came along. But then, but as I say, but because of the travel expenses, I then found another job in Richmond, where I was doing expenses and accounts work. And that took a very long time for me to settle into that company. But eventually I did absolutely enjoy it, because I enjoyed the social life of it. It was a big company, and I did feel part of it. I did feel very responsible for what the job was doing, even though in the end I was taking on too much, and they ended up moving into London. So then again I had to spend money on travel expenses. When it was in Richmond, because I was only down the road, I didn't. But in the end they moved to central London, and some of the employees left because of that reason, because they didn't want to have to commute. But because of the atmosphere of the company, I moved with them and I stuck with them, and I was with them for about a year, and then I found a job in a company in Brentford, and that was the wrong decision that I made, because I absolutely hated it there, and I really regretted going for that company because there was a lot of backstabbing going on. It was like there was an atmosphere every day within that company, and I didn't feel right. I didn't feel that I was trusted as an employee. So again, I decided I wanted to take a month off in January and do temping work, and I'm glad I did that, because the temping work made me work for very different companies, and at the time it really suited me because I wasn't stuck within one company. I worked for several, and then I made the decision that I wanted to work at a holiday camp, because it's something I wanted to do since I was a kid, but that meant taking care of myself and focusing on what I really truly wanted, and I'm glad I did that, because that was one of my dream jobs as well, was working at a holiday camp. But you have to take care of yourself when it comes to employment. You know, if it doesn't feel right, then don't take the job. But if it does feel right, and you know that's going to help you financially, then that is not a bad thing. But you know, but then it gives you time to find the ideal job, but you're still generating an income at the same time. So you know, that's what this, you know, I do these videos for, because I want to help with personal development and to help people get into work. Something that I really want to work on, and work with people that, you know, already are working, but they just needed someone to talk to, someone to help them, you know, develop as an employee, and how to get the most out of. I did a video talking about, you know, how to promote yourself, and that is important, but also taking care of yourself. You know, is it going to be cost effective if you find a job in Middle London, or is it going to be cost effective to try and find a job that's near to you, so you don't have to spend money on transport? And you know, now because of lockdown, a lot of people like to work from home, and that may be something that you may be suited for. But I find that even though I do this type of work, a lot of it is sort of work on the computer. But hopefully, you know, I'm hoping that once I start doing some free courses that my social work has recommended, then I'm hoping that will lead me into doing something I really want to do. And sometimes you just have to be patient with yourself, patient with, you know, with people that can help you. And I did get career advice by a organisation called the Richmond Fellowship, which is based for those in Surrey, and helps you, you know, get back into work. And it did, because I then found nursery work. But because I was still I found it was good at sometimes, but I felt that I was having really bad anxiety over it, and anxiousness, because some of the nurseries were very unsafe, and my gut instinct told me that, you know, this is not the right company to work for, because my assignments kept getting cancelled as such, but also, you know, I wasn't in the right frame of mind either, but I did it because I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to do 9 to 5 job anymore, and I still would like to sort of work with children, but I would like to go into schools to teach about, you know, getting ready for, you know, looking for work. Because I remember when I was at secondary school, they did invite people in to talk about career development, and that was really helpful. And you know, when I did my 6th form, I did work experience at a museum called MoMI, which was the Museum of Moving Image, which is no longer there now. But I thoroughly enjoyed doing the work experience there, because I got to watch a film called Some Like It Hot with Tony Curtis and Marilyn Monroe. And I mean, all I was doing was correcting a typo in one of their leaflets, but I still really enjoyed that job and that experience. And it didn't mean that I'd often have to be responsible for making tea and coffee, but I didn't mind because it was a good company to work for, even though that now doesn't exist, you know. So that's what I'm saying about take good care of yourself when looking for work. You know, if it's not right to you, then that's fine. Now you may have, like I say, have to do about 10 interviews to find the job that you actually really do feel good about. But never allow that to stop you. You know, keep trying. And the more you know apply for roles in an industry that you want to work in, the more chance that you will get interest. So anyway, so I'm going to end this video here, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.